Hey guys, welcome back to the More Than Muscle podcast. This is episode 2 and I am your host, Matt Cooney. And today I have the absolute privilege of being joined by Mr. Phil Graham. Phil, how are you doing?
I am great, my man. How are you?
I am doing good. So today what we're going to get into is a bit of personal development and mindset. So just to give a quick introduction for any listeners that may not know who Phil is. Phil has been in the fitness industry for over 15 years, essentially done it all. He's been a PT, competitive bodybuilder, online coach, an international speaker, and held seminars and workshops all over the world. He's the author of the best-selling book, The Diabetic Muscle Fitness Guide, and he is now a fitness business coach that is helping hundreds of fitness entrepreneurs grow and scale their business. So did I miss anything there, Phil?
No, I think you got everything. I think you left out barbecue expert and coffee lover as well. But I'm really excited to be on and share some really cool insights for your audience on just how to think better during this time point. I know that there's probably a lot of self-employed people listening and sometimes employed people. There's probably some personal trainers listening. So I'll try my best to cover the spectrum.
Yeah. And as you can see from the intro, Phil has a wealth of experience, knowledge, and wisdom. So I'm going to try my best to actually shut up today and let Phil talk. So first, before we get into this, I just want to give Phil an insight into the name, More Than Muscle. So the reason why I've called this podcast More Than Muscle is because my journey started as just wanted to gain muscle. I had absolutely no idea about anything else. And that has evolved over the years into this pursuit of health and growing my body and mind. So this is probably something that you can relate to as you started out as a PT and a bodybuilder. So, and now that's evolved to where you are today. So is there any type of lessons maybe that you learned as a bodybuilder and through that time that you've carried on to where you are now today?
Yeah, I mean, the bodybuilding, for those of you that don't know my story, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 16. And the main things that I heard from the health professionals upon diagnosis was that exercise, mindset, medication, daily movement were the things that were going to protect me, that were going to keep me living longer. And I just literally lent into exercise and nutrition and reading about it because I wanted to learn how I could survive, so to speak. And bodybuilding was a natural byproduct of that. I fell in love with weights and I got straight into bodybuilding. It taught me a lot of things. It taught me, first of all, about discipline and structure. And that discipline and structure leads to results. Now, I'm what we call a disciplined, not regimented individual. And I think that that's important at this point in time, that you've got a regimen, but you're not OCD about doing things at certain times and stuff like that. I think that when you've got a degree of flexibility in terms of, right, here's my core processes for the day, here's the results that I want, and how you mold that around your daily activities, the important stuff is important to ultimately get your results. So having a degree of discipline and having a degree of routine is important as well. Number 2, it also taught me about asking for help. I think that a lot of people want to try and do this on their own, but the reality is there's strength in numbers in terms of being able to learn stuff, be an objective soundboard for someone or them to be an objective soundboard for you. The collaboration, the safety. I mean, when you're walking through the woods at night and you've got owls and bats and all crazy stuff going on, it's always better being there with somebody else rather than on your own. So discipline and structure. 2, asking for help. And 3, taking action, right? You know, look at what you always wanted to do with your life. What did you want to learn? What did you want to master? And use that time right now to get deep into yourself and study and start sharpening your axe, so that you've got a new skill set or a broadened horizon or perspective when you're able to leave this whole crazy situation, right? So those are 3 things that I think are really just nice and simple, just nice solid principles that will help a lot of your guys.
Yeah, that's solid. I think literally everybody could take those 3 and apply them to themselves. So you kind of mentioned it there, obviously this time and with COVID-19 that it is kind of daunting, but for yourself, you're obviously helping hundreds of fitness business owners at the moment essentially keep their shit together during this time. And obviously, how's that been for you? Like, I can imagine, like, you know, a lot of gym owners literally overnight were told to stop, shut down. So again, being in your position, I can imagine that was quite daunting for you.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm going to be really honest here. I love it. I was a little bit bored for a while, and you know, it's taken a pandemic to excite me. Um, the reality is, it's allowed me to really step up and serve where I'm genius at. I love leading others. I love coordinating people. I love helping people think better during chaotic times or problematic times in their business. And I think you'll agree that we're doing a we're leading from the front in that respect. I can't really pick an example of anybody that is actually leading a tribe on that level and giving people that hope, giving them clarity, giving them strategy and action steps. So in terms of how I've managed with it, I mean, the first thing is like, right, what do my clients need right now? What do they need from me? Getting really, really clear on that and then building it. Two, showing up daily, making sure that they know that I'm there, right? We've got clients that are asking for help daily. We've got other clients that are self-sufficient, that like yourself, for example, when you reach out and you want a question on something every now and again, right? Whereas, you know, the same is going to be for a personal trainer. You're going to have some clients that really, really need you, some clients that are self-sufficient. So it's been really, you know, stepping up, leading them, showing up every day, giving them what they need. And, you know, most importantly, being a beacon of hope. I think that a large amount of my colleagues and people in the fitness industry are all doom and gloom about this, when the reality is it's about creating hope, looking at the opportunity. I mean, do you hear me talking about the negatives and the downsides? I'm like, no, right? What can we do with our time here? Because I can choose how I want to think. And when I choose how I want to think, then that leads to a better outcome. I could sit here all day and go, oh, all my clients are going to leave me. Everybody's freaking out. This is too much pressure, whatever. But then again, I also go, right, Phil, it's an opportunity to lead. It's an opportunity to build connection. It's an opportunity to build community. It's an opportunity to showcase the world how powerful your tribe is. It's an opportunity to create extra training resources. It's an opportunity to help get some major wins and some major breakthroughs here. Yes, it's going to be tight. Yes, it's going to be tough. But the reality is, get that head down and get stuck in, you know?
Yeah, that's literally just unbelievable, because even from my perspective, seeing you, it actually seems like you are thriving, like with the challenge. It's like you like you said, you enjoy it. And
Yeah.
is that something that you've always had, or is it something you've built, that kind of, when a situation like that comes, having the ability to see it as a challenge?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the reality is this. My mind, I've been working on it and training it and building it and dissecting it for a long period of time. And I've come aware that in life, challenges and problems are the greatest catalyst for winning, right? Whenever you win and things are easy, you don't really grow. It's like in the gym, when you're doing the final reps and you're pushing beyond your threshold, that's whenever the muscle tissue then adapts, becomes stronger. So I suppose I've just got a built-in framework that's literally right. All this is growing, you lean in, implement, take action, and like go with the ride. You know, the reality is, Matt, I could sit here and have done nothing and respond, and we were ahead of the curve like 2 to 3 weeks beforehand with our content and everything like that. You know, but what, you know, am I going to sit there, do nothing, and then people are going to go and follow somebody else and they're going to go and do other stuff? We're actually finding that we have so many personal trainers and coaches that want to be part of our network now, right? They're like, can you imagine being outside of Boardroom, outside of Authority Network, and looking in at all the people posting like, this is the safest place to be? We had the hashtag Fort Knox. Like, people were like looking in, like they see community, they see people problem solving, troubleshooting, connecting, learning, all whilst locked up. Like, can you imagine how that would feel not being part of that? You're literally going to feel isolated on your own. You're not going to be able to think correctly, and you're going to make bad decisions, right? So the reality is, like, our clients now need us way more than they've ever needed us, right? And it's the same for you as a coach, as a fitness professional. You've got clients that have been working with you for a period of time, that have spent money, that have spent time, that have spent effort trying to build a physique. And the reality now, the circumstances have drastically changed, and your delivery has had to pivot in order to keep them right. And the reality is, it goes one of two ways. You can drop off from your coach, lose all the hard work that you've built, go into bad eating habits, go into a bad mindset, or you can follow your leader and let them worry about all the stuff that you can do to protect your health, which is the most important thing right now, and also your mindset. So if you're not investing in a coach, you're an idiot, right? You know, that's a really, really important perspective. And, you know, there's no better time now to get in shape than during lockdown, because it's like the Christmas period, right? When we're all off, you're seeing alcohol consumption going up, junk food consumption going up. All of these things are going up amongst this, because a lot of people don't have time management. A lot of people don't have productivity and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, that's how you've got to look at it. And yeah, I think you're doing a great job with all your clients. You can see it. You can see that you're leading them as well.
Yeah, thanks. And that's something I'm big on as well, is environment. And I think that's something that you bring with all your groups as well, is, you know, environment dictates performance, and being able to be around that environment that, again, is seeing this as a challenge, seeing the positives, and you're not hearing that negatives. You're kind of always hearing, okay, what can I do now? What's the next step, the next action step to take?
I think, you know, you've been in my groups, you know, for what, 6 months now or whatever. But I think that we have that community element that you can't just create off a shelf, right? And I think that event at the weekend really bonded a lot of our groups, you know, and that's just something that's really, really hard to replicate.
Yeah, definitely. So moving slightly to a different direction, something that I've heard you mention quite a few times that definitely stuck out to me was this concept of protecting your mental health. So yeah, if you could, just for the listeners, maybe expand on it a bit, of what you mean by that, why it's so important, and maybe some strategies that they can implement.
Yeah, well, I think one of the most, I'm going to give you guys in 3 simple principles, but number 1 is environment. If you're around negative people that are only finding negative problems in this situation, remove yourself or let them know how you feel about the way things are going down. Because realistically, in the grand scheme of things, they're going to eventually influence your thinking. And you want to be around people that are looking for solutions, people are looking towards the future and using their time wisely. Secondly, allow yourself 1 news segment per day. Or for me, 1 news segment per week from somebody who is smart, understands the science, and is able to filter the information and give me an objective viewpoint without a bias. Number 3 is to list down all the things that you wanted to work on and go through them and list them in terms of order of priority and start working on them to keep your mind engaged. Also as well, having dedicated thinking time, dedicated exercise time, and dedicated time where you're around a tribe or a community and you're literally working with them, okay? So, you know, those are real simple principles. They're actionable. Get in and get at it.
And I think that ties back to exactly what you mentioned at the start about the principles from bodybuilding, that structure, that having that discipline to be able to actually implement these things during this time, you know, and that's something that you've probably learned over time. So just to kind of move again, another thing now is, obviously a lot of people out there and a lot of the listeners are probably in a situation where they're highly stressed, suffering from a bit of anxiousness and overwhelm. And that's, I presume that's completely normal right now. We're going through a situation that nobody has been through before. It's probably something I can imagine you've dealt with at times during your career, being around so long and having, you know, so many businesses and evolving. Is there any advice that you'd have for the listeners that may be experiencing those things right now?
Yeah, it's a couple of things. 1, have strict processes. Don't overload your brain, don't overload your mind with too many things at once. Guard how you go in and look at things. I talk about having the 4 check-ins on social media. You know, going in 4 times a day. If you've got a client base on social media, this is especially important. And checking in and not being in and out of socials all the time. Turning your phone notifications off. Turning off the micro little tears that can happen throughout the day, micro raindrops, I call them, that are just going to overload you. You know, when it comes to overwhelm with businesses and stuff, being really, really clear on what I'm good at, being really, really clear on what I'm not good at, and delegating that and paying somebody to do that. And knowing that if I pay them to do that, it frees up mind space. If I free up mind space, then that allows me to operate better. So, you know, it's about 1, being okay with being overwhelmed. 2, being okay with delegating and losing control. 3, being okay with making decisions that you're going to shut down one thing to grow another. And picking one direction, not trying to do too many things at once, right? And also lack of comparison. You know, when you compare yourself to somebody else's life, all you do is compare yourself to what you see in the front, and you don't look at everything else underneath, and then you don't appreciate your current life and your current circumstances and how they're serving you, and you create a fantasy inside your head of how life should be and the way you should be living, and that minimizes you and ultimately makes you feel like crap. So being careful what you look like, having a strong environment, being able to delegate, being able to prioritize, and also as well being okay with being overwhelmed and realizing, right, what's the first thing that I can do? It's about asking good questions, it's about stopping, it's about reflecting, and then taking action.
I think that's absolutely golden. And I think that's a lot of what's happening now is people are, during this time, they're actually using social media more. Their environment is worse through what they're seeing, and they're getting negative information from everywhere. And then obviously with the kind of loss of control at the moment, lack of predictability, that people don't know what's ahead, it is just getting them overwhelmed, and then they're completely stopping. So that they just don't do anything. And like you said, taking action is probably one of the biggest things, the best things you can do now. And a lot of people now just aren't. And it's just because of the situation we're in, you know.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, go on.
Yeah, 100%. I think narrowing your focus, having a process, planning your day, planning your, the night before or in the morning, first thing, having some non-negotiables in there is absolutely paramount.
Yeah. And that's even for yourself. Have you found with exercise, nutrition, that having that structure and routine to your day really does help you?
Oh, yeah, like, you know, after I finish with you right now, you know, I'm going to go and train, then I'm going to meditate, and then I'm into the rest of my day. So, you know, that's a big focus for me. You know what I mean? And that sets me up for my day. I've already journaled this morning. I had a meeting this morning at 9 a.m., which I wanted to get out of the way. But you understand that, like, disciplined, but not regimented. So I'm like fitting in my bits when they suit me. Some people like to do it at a set time. I personally don't. I've got, you know, a schedule there that, you know, accommodates it across the day, because realistically, I've got more flexibility now because I'm in the house. Do you know what I mean? So I know that I actually wake up a little bit later, so I get a little bit more sleep, and I go, right, what are my fundamental non-negotiables for me? What are my non-negotiables for my business? And what are the key outcomes that I have to have? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's gold, even that you mentioned, because a lot of people, I think, can get tied down with having this schedule that they believe they have to 100% follow. And it's like, if they don't do one thing for 10 minutes, they missed one little thing, they've failed, you know? Whereas having that flexibility.
If you're doing that, you're not being productive. You spend half your energy worrying about being productive, right?
Yeah, that's 100%. I could definitely relate to that. I used to be, I think, I think it's trying too hard to be literally at 6:03. You have to be doing this, or it's, you know, it's game over. And then just actually,
that's setting yourself up for a jail, right? Nobody wants that.
Yeah, it's actually, it turns out worse, because it's, you try to plan it all, but then you end up getting so bogged down with, even when you're doing that, trying to plan something that particular. Whereas, like you said, if you can just have non-negotiables that you have to do in a day, and then kind of leave yourself some flexibility to do other things, you know, that you want. And just on exercise and nutrition. So obviously you're probably not motivated to do it all the time. And is that just a thing where you've put non-negotiables in there for a certain amount of training,
Well, the way I look at it is, if I'm healthy, if I look good, I feel better about myself, and I can operate better throughout the day, and it's a non-negotiable incentive. It's just as important as a business task. So that's how I look at it, you know?
Yeah. And I think that can be good for people as well, that, like, a lot of people I'm coming across now are lacking motivation to train, to eat healthy. And I think if you can take that mindset and approach to it and look beyond just the training or nutrition and say, okay, I'm doing that, but that's because I'm healthier, I've had more energy, you know, I can do other things then to a better ability if I just make sure I do these certain tasks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Agree with that.
So, Bill, just to finish up, I think there's been so many takeaways already in this. But if you could just outline just 3 action steps for people to implement, say, right now, as soon as they finish listening to this, that's going to benefit them going forward, especially through this situation.
So one is work out a routine for self. Physical exercise, daily movement, thinking time, and mindset time. So all of the latter are self-explanatory. In respect to mindset time, journaling or start meditation. Action step number 2, disconnect from any groups that are negative or people that are negative and look for groups that are inspiring, that have got people in them that are focused on the opportunity, not the adversity. Action step number 3 is ask yourself right now, what is really, really important in your life? Look at your career. Ask yourself, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Maybe you want to reconsider what you're doing and go into your own business, start up your own business. Ask the questions, what do I really want to do with my life once this is over? What would I love to do the minute this is over? And when you identify that, then ask yourself, what skills do I need to acquire and what people do I need to be around in order to win? Simple as that. Clear cut, concise, to the point, boom.
Yeah, I literally don't think there's another word that needs to be said there. So just to finish up, I want to thank you for your time. Obviously, you're extremely busy and for joining me today. But again, thank you as well. I truly believe you are one of the people that is bringing the fitness industry in the right direction. And you're literally impacting hundreds and not thousands of lives. And that's trickling down to our clients as well. So I just want to say a massive thanks for that. And to finish up, if anybody wants to find out more about you, where can they find you or what's the best place?
Thanks so much for that. And the same goes for you as well. You know, you're going out of your way to put out great content for your audience. You're sitting there needing good, inspiring stuff to hear. And you're going to the effort of recording these and trimming them up and putting them out on social. So guys, show some love for Matt. It's he doesn't need to do this. It's completely free. He's using his time up to serve you. So massive respect for you in that. I can be easily found on Instagram, philgraham01, phil-graham.com, or Facebook. I'm very easy to find, and I have my own podcast called the Fitness Entrepreneur Podcast, which is for fitness business owners. So yeah, Matt, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. And guys, love you all. Let's get through this together and stick to what Matt has to say. He's definitely on.
That's perfect. I'll leave all the links below in the show notes. And guys, thanks a million. If you have got some value for that, you can drop me a comment, drop me a message, let me know. And if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. And we will see you in the next episode. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Love it.